Bad night out, rant, repeat. Bad night out, rant, repeat. Bad night out, rant, repeat. Bad night out, rant. You get the picture.
Right? Wrong! Commando is my favorite film of all time.
I did promise to return to my original channel in September. It's still September, and in this video I'm going to rank all the films I've rewatched in the last 18 months or so. My entire movie collection. Recently, I rewatched every single film I own. I did have 125 films altogether, but my One Direction DVD, This Is Us, I mistakenly put it into the bin instead of the DVD player. So moving swiftly on, RIP. 124th place film out of 124, Jaws the Revenge. 1.2 out of 10. It arguably should be illegal. That exists. Horrendous. I'm just going to go through these quickly. 1, 2, 3, Home Alone 4. I finally watched it. I had owned this film since 2007. Just watched it either this year, 2021, or last year, 2020. I can't remember which year I watched it, but as the years just all feel the same now. But 1.3, I obviously liked it a little bit better than Jaws the Revenge. But I'm going to zoom through these because there's so many films. So 1, 2, 2, and 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 2, Casino Royale, the spoof. And in 121st place, Rush Hour 3. Why was this made? Okay. I don't own every film in the franchise, but of the turtle films I do own, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 from 1993, which I went to the cinema to go and see when I was 5. Bad Mom. One of the worst films ever made. 120th on my list. 2.2 out of 10. Following that is Jaws 3. Then we have Terminator Genesis. Let's get through this. I need a stronger drink. Just drinking water at the moment. Batman and Robin's next, followed by 2 Sylvester Stallone films, 2 of which I did not purchase myself but were gifted to me. Rambo 2008, followed by The Expendables, which features the one and only Stone Cold Steve Austin, the greatest wrestler of all time. Is the best part of this film, but his lines are not very good. Dreadful film. I don't seem to like Sylvester Stallone directed movies or films featuring him, it seems. Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is next, followed by Halloween Resurrection and the overrated 2018 Halloween version. 111 is Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. 110 is I'm phoning this in, folks. I really am, aren't I? It's a lot of films to talk about. A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child. Followed by Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, the only Friday film I own, solo Friday film. Next up is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. People are going to hate me for this one. Alien, which I watched for the first time, the original Alien, 3.3 out of 10, is my 107th favourite film I own. Scream 3 is next, followed by Hulk, 2003 one. 104 is Rob Zombie's Halloween, 2007. I've never really enjoyed this movie. Home Alone 3 is next, followed by The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. A film that really disappointed me on rewatch. Hadn't watched it in years. Die Hard with a Vengeance. I thought this was awful. So, my top 100 films. In 100th place is Hannibal Rising, followed by the worst official serious James Bond film ever made, Quantum of Solace, closely followed by Die Another Day, Terminator Salvation, It Chapter 2, which I watched for the first time recently. I gave it 4.4 out of 10. Followed by Moonraker, Spectre, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which is climbing. This would have been a lot lower before. Ghostbusters 2, Damien Omen 2. In 90th place is Alien Free, followed by Tomorrow Never Dies, Child's Play, The Man with the Golden Gun, A View to a Kill, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. I had owned this film since 2016 or whenever it came out on DVD. I recently watched it. No, I really do not like Star Wars, so this is actually a very fair rating. In 82nd place is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of Ooze. I do not own the remake Turtle film entries and might never will. 81st place, Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. In 80th place, Halloween 5, followed by Spider-Man 3: The Punisher. Kevin Nash is in that film. Alien Resurrection is next, followed by Roger Moore's debut as Bond in Live and Let Die. We have Batman Forever next. Die Hard 4.0 as it's known in the UK. The original, people are really going to hate me. The original Star Wars I've got 73rd on my list, 5.7 out of 10. I didn't get Diamonds Are Forever's next. In 71st place is The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. In 70th place is a film I've watched twice recently, still very overrated. It's Hot Fuzz. Next on the list is Never Say Never Again, the unofficial serious Bond film starring Sean Connery. In 68th place is a weird choice for me, as it's one of my favourite films, but obviously I've ranked 67 films better than it. Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers gets a 6.2 from me. It would be a lot higher if this was just based on the films I've watched over and over again. Next up is Lethal Weapon 3, followed by Rush Hour 2, the 1966 Batman movie, the spin-off from the television series. I think overall that era of Batman was much more suited to being a TV series. 64th place is Fire Eyes Only, followed by Scream 2 and It from 1990. Yes, I know it's not really a film, but it's been ranked as a film here. This is my list. 61st place, X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006. I don't own, this is the latest X-Men film I own. In 60th place is Freddy vs. Jason. I rather enjoyed this film. Ghostbusters comes in at this 1984 version. I don't own the other one that everyone seems to not like very much. Still not watched it. Commando I named as my favourite film in one of my 2011 videos, but when I rate all my films together and rank them all, it only gets to 58th spot. No favoritism here, folks. It's just straight list of my films ranked, rated, how I rated them as, after I finished watching them. Die Hard 2 is next, followed by Red Dragon, followed by Rush Hour. Lethal Weapon 4 is ahead of all those films, including Die Hard 2 with a 6.5 out of 10. You Only Live Twice, I enjoyed a little bit better with a 6.7. Also with 6.7 is The World Is Not Enough. Doctor Sleep, a sequel to The Shining, which appears later on this list. It was the first ever sequel to The Shining, set 40 years later. released 39 years later. A bit annoying that. Can I not just wait until like early 2020? Never mind. My OCD. Top 50 films. Here we go. Lethal Weapon 2 is on 50th spot, followed by License to Kill. I always point this out. It's my favorite Timothy Dalton Bond film, but for some reason, when I go to rewatch it, I remember, The Living Daylights being the better film overall, even though I've got more of a soft spot for this one. Another film I've got a soft spot for, another one I rewatched recently again, Halloween H2O 20 years later, but it's only 48 from my so way higher than Halloween 2018. Ahead of it, just is Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, followed by A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is next, followed by George Lazenby's one and only James Bond film appearance, one of Majesty's Secret Service, Why Am I Starting to Whisper. Halloween 2 is next, and this is funny because you know how much I go on about Halloween. The best one outside of the original is only 43 on my list. Following that is Aliens, 1986. I seem to much prefer the James Cameron directed sequel to Alien. 41 is The Living Daylights. 40th, the slightly overrated Skyfall. I prefer Jaws 2, which got 7.4, as well as Skyfall, but I enjoyed Jaws 2 better. The Jungle Book, the 1967 version, 7.4, 38 from the list. Followed by Hannibal. It's quite the contrast in films I've collected over the years, it seems, it ranges. Dr. No, the original James Bond film, in 36th spot. Followed by X-Men, followed by Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. I'm not a Star Wars fan. This is very high for someone who's not a Star Wars fan. I was very generous to the beloved Empire Strikes Back. I enjoyed Thunderbolt Bearful, which is in 33rd spot. Just my age. Jesus' age too are here. In 32nd spot is a film that was released on the year I was born. Not the day, but the year I was born. Lethal Weapon. Best of the Lethal Weapon bunch. 31st spot is The Shining, which features Jack Nicholson. I want to like that film more, but I don't. 30th spot, Octopussy, 7.8 out of 10. 29th spot, when is Scream 5 coming out, by the way? Does anybody know? It's the original Scream. 28th is Home Alone, one of the best Christmas movies ever. Or the best, some would say. 27th spot is Star Wars. This is way too high. See, I need to really maybe do these reigns again, because Return of the Jedi, I did enjoy it. It was my favorite Star Wars film out of the lot that I owned, that I watched. But this is way too high. No way this beats Home Alone. Who made this list? 26th spot is Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. 25 is Die Hard, 8.3. Goldfinger's next, followed by my favorite film of my childhood, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 8.3 out of 10. A film that arguably should be a lot higher up, because I do think about this film quite often, and I've watched it quite a lot recently, Beetlejuice, 22nd spot. If Home Alone's not the best Christmas film of all time, then perhaps Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, is. It gets a 8.5 from me. My top 20 films, thank the Lord, I've managed to complete this. The Dark Knight Rises, it's got an 8.6, which is still very high rating from me, but it is overrated film. 19th spot goes to the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003, really enjoyed that film. Really some good stuff going on in there. 18th spot, 2002 Spider-Man, the original. 17, Casino Royale 2006, the first Bond film to star Daniel Craig, and my favourite of Daniel Craig's. A contrast from Daniel Craig's Bond films is Roger Moore's Bond films, and The Spy Who Loved Me, which is, over the years, has been my favourite James Bond film, sitting 16th spot here with an 8.7 out of 10. The best X-Men film out of the three I own, in my opinion, is X2. 14th spot goes to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. In 13th spot is one of my most beloved movies of all time, the movie that made me a big fan of the Batman franchise, the 1989 film Batman, featuring Michael Keaton as Batman, Jack Nicholson as the Joker. It was a great, great film. Ahead of that, though, is The Silence of the Lambs, starring Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. It won awards in 1991. 11th spot is, you might have noticed, by the way, I'm not a movie fan, by the way. I might own 124 films, but most of these films are, a lot of them James Bond films, or hero films, Halloween films. They're franchise films I grew up with, through my childhood, teen years that I've hanged on to. I've really added to this collection. And a lot of these films that I've received in the last few years were Christmas gifts. Some of them I don't even want, like The Expendables and Rambo. 11th spot goes to Goldeneye, which was Pierce Brosnan's debut as Bond. Top 10 films. I'm so happy about this spot. I didn't think I'd get through this video. In 10th spot's a film I witnessed in cinema in 2004, Spider-Man 2. 9th place, the best James Bond film ever made, From Russia with Love, starring the highest rated James Bond, Sean Connery. Roger Moore I still prefer, but yeah. 8th spot, The Dark Knight, 9.3 out of 10. There's 2 Batman films in this list that I regard even better. What are those? And 7th spot, well, here's one, Batman Returns, featuring, in my opinion, the best Batman, Michael Keaton. But it's not the best Batman movie. 6th spot goes to The Terminator. Followed by, in 5th spot, Sin City. I'm very impressed with this film. Every time I rewatch this film, I'm blown away by how good it is. Arguably, well, it's a very high spot, number 5, but arguably should be even higher. Should maybe be above Batman Begins, which is in 4th spot. Top 3 films I own, and the top 3 films I've ever seen. 3rd place is Jaws. The 4th edition of the Jaws franchise is the very bottom of the list, but Jaws the original, number 3. And you can make argument for any of these 3 films being number 1. 2nd spot, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, the best sequel ever made. One of my favorite films and best films I own. Number 1 film, gotta go with Halloween 1978. It is one of those films where you remember where you were the first time you watched it. It's my go-to movie, my go-to franchise, my favorite franchise. Sorry Bond, sorry Batman. Halloween is my bread and butter, and this is the best Halloween movie. There you go. All 124 films of mine ranked that I own. I obviously didn't make these films, but the films that I own, all ranked. Halloween number 1, Jaws the Revenge, coming in at 124